When talking about some of the smartest teams in the NBA, the Golden State Warriors is one that everybody has to mention. From building this team up from the ground to dominating the league with the dynasty they had, Golden State is truly a team that knows how to operate a basketball team. And speaking of the recent Jordan Poole-Chris Paul trade, I begin to realize that things are not simply what they look like. I know this is like the third time I talked about this trade, but every day I learn something new, and I think it's really important that I give you guys the whole picture. Now, from a surface level, this trade seems like a way to remove a toxic locker room presence in Jordan Poole and his currently overpaid contract, but really the true motivation behind all this is beyond tricky but smart. And this all connects back to the final year Kevin Durant was with the Warriors. After losing to the Raptors, Golden State did a sign-on trade with the Nets that sent Kevin Durant to Brooklyn in exchange for D'Angelo Russell with some other assets. Take a look at this NBA reporter Malika Andrews' tweet back then. She said, "It can take franchise years to recover from the departure of a superstar. This is how Golden State pivoted from loss to a gap year back to the finals." And looking back at exactly what the Warriors did, they traded D'Angelo Russell that year before the trade deadline in exchange for Andrew Wiggins and the eventual second overall pick in the 2020 NBA draft. And this all seems very familiar with the current situation with Chris Paul. If what we predicted today were to happen, the Golden State front office will by far becomes the best front office in NBA history. In today's video, let's talk about how the Golden State Warriors are about to fool the league again and pull out a massive move. So without further ado, let's roll the intro. Yo, what's up guys, Jason's here back with another video. If you're the first time watching, I mostly cover news and reports for the Golden State Warriors, but we also occasionally make content for every other team in the league. If you want the latest basketball news and rumors on your feed, all you're gonna do is to leave a like and subscribe so that you won't miss any of a future upload. Now, knowing that Kevin Durant's era at Golden State is over, the Warriors front office did a sign-on trade to Brooklyn that sent Kevin Durant in exchange for D'Angelo Russell and other assets. D'Lo's previous season with the Nets was pretty good. He was just 22 and he was an all-star. That season, he averaged 21.1 points, 3.9 rebounds, 7 assists, and 1.2 steals per game, while shooting nearly 37% from behind the arc. And being the primary trade chip that landed Kevin Durant, D'Lo's value is sky high. And guess what the Golden State Warriors did to him? They made him even better. Klay Thompson was hurt, so D'Lo became the main guy in the backcourt. That year with the Warriors before the trade deadline, D'Angelo Russell was averaging 23.6 points per game, his career high until today, 3.7 rebounds, 6.2 assists, and nearly 1 steal per game, while shooting 37.4% behind the arc. Now, take a look at this quote here from Mark Stein when the sign and trade deal was made. He said that D'Angelo Russell does not fit there whatsoever. They just not want to see Kevin Durant walk out the door with no compensation. They will trade him. It's just a matter of when. And he's exactly right about this take. That year, when February kicks in and the trade deadline is coming, Golden State agreed to trade D'Angelo Russell to Minnesota for a deal that includes Andrew Wiggins, a first-round pick and a second-round pick. And from what we are seeing now, Golden State not only found a high-quality all-star starter in Andrew Wiggins, but they also filled the void of Kevin Durant. And cap room-wise, take a look at this report from Bobby Marks of ESPN. With the trade, Golden State is $3.1 million below the tax, and they have 6 open roster spots. So basically, this Andrew Wiggins, D'Angelo Russell trade here removed the player that Warriors don't need in this case, D'Angelo Russell in the backcourt, and got someone that has been a key contributor for the Warriors in Andrew Wiggins. And Wiggins played a critical role in Warriors championship run last year. And the team also created cap room. And obviously, last offseason, Golden State gave Wiggins a new deal and he is here to stay. Okay, now let's pivot our position to the present, where Golden State flipped Jordan Poole and other draft assets to acquire Chris Paul. Right off the bat, this makes sense from a team chemistry perspective. We know that Jordan Poole is hurting the Warriors locker room, so removing the aspect is great for this Warriors team that wants to contend next season. And Golden State needs that second unit leader to run the bench and establish that veteran presence. Furthermore, you see this report here that Golden State will not waive Chris Paul and is looking forward to partnering with Paul to make a championship run. And plus, on draft night, Golden State took Brandon Pojemski from St. Clair University, another sharpshooter, which seems to me now is the move that the team pulled to replace Jordan Poole. Everything all makes sense here, right? No, don't get fooled by this, because I'm predicting that the Golden State Warriors are going to use the exact same approach they had on D'Angelo Russell and eventually build up Chris Paul's stock during the first half of the season and then use him as a trade asset before the trade deadline. If you look at the current Golden State backcourt room, we got Steph Curry, Klay Thompson, Moses Moody, Gary Payton II, Brandon Pojemski, and Chris Paul. That's a total of 6 players, and that's more than enough. So right off the bat, position room checks the box for potentially trading Chris Paul before the trade deadline. And second, if you're a guard with this Warriors team, you'll benefit significantly because this Warriors system puts their guards in such a great position to succeed. Let's think about all the recent examples. This team built up Steph and Klay, of course. They developed Damian Lee, who got a deal with the Suns earlier. They also developed Gary Payton II, who initially got the bag from the Blazers. And this last season, they also developed Dante DiVincenzo, who just opted out of his current contract and want to seek more money elsewhere. So overall, I don't question the fact that Golden State can add more value to Chris Paul and make his trade value go even higher. Now, you can certainly argue that D'Angelo Russell was younger when the trade was made and Chris Paul is already 38. But when it comes to the trade deadline, some teams will get desperate, especially title contenders, because room for them to make an adjustment is very minor. And aside from all these factors, Warriors now desperately needs forward and center depth. Let's just assume that Golden State re-signs Draymond back, meaning they will not have a lot of cap room to sign the free agent, so that Chris Paul's $30 million in cap room will give Golden State a lot of flexibility when it comes to trading for proven veterans before the trade deadline. And of course, Golden State will sure do something during free agency, but that doesn't mean it's impossible that the team flips Chris Paul to another team for big before trade deadline, no matter if it's from a contender or a rebuilding team. Because like we said before, contenders will get desperate and a rebuilding team might want to move on from a contract and fully into rebuild mode, because don't forget, Chris Paul's contract next season is non-guaranteed, so teams can just waive him and his cap hit will be gone completely from their checkbook. If you also think about the fact that Chris Paul doesn't fit the Warriors system, it makes even more sense that Golden State is basically using Chris Paul as a trade deadline asset and a cap room reliever at the same time. We know that Golden State runs a fast-paced offense and Chris Paul is the kind of player that likes to play slow. So from now on, I'm not going to try to make sense of Chris Paul coming to the Golden State Warriors, because I truly think that the team will flip Chris Paul for a paint presence or a stretch big that actually fits what the team needs. Overall, what I'm predicting here is the Golden State Warriors are planning to use the exact same approach on Chris Paul like what they did with D'Angelo Russell, so don't be surprised if you see Chris Paul a lot at the starting lineup before the trade deadline as the team tries to build him up with more trade values. And if Chris Paul plays well and remains healthy during the trade deadline, you can easily involve him in a trade package, because a lot of teams will love to have that veteran presence and leadership that Chris Paul brings. And if not, Golden State can waive Chris Paul next offseason and clear around $30 million in cap room, in which they can use to sign Klay Thompson back or send some big fish off the free agency market. But what do you guys think? Do you think that Golden State traded Chris Paul here to stay, or to build his trade value up and move him before the trade deadline? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below. Alright guys, that's all we got for today's video. If you enjoyed the content, don't forget to leave a like, subscribe, and follow me on social media with all the links in the description box down below. Once again, thank you guys so much for watching this video, and I will see you guys in the next episode. Peace.